Lights, camera, action. Hey there, fellow movie buffs, gamers, and movie lovers. I'm Brandon Musica, your guide through the mesmerizing world of entertainment, and you're tuning in to another exciting episode of the BMuz Reviews podcast. Get ready for a wild ride as we dissect the latest blockbusters, binge-worthy shows, and hidden gems from the silver screen and streaming platforms. Plus, we're not just stopping at films. Buckle up for occasional tidbits from the gaming universe and the rhythm of the music industry. Oh, and did I mention we're also taking nostalgic trips back in time with some retro reviews? But hey, our interaction doesn't end there. Follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok at bmuzreviews for exclusive behind-the-scenes content and updates. And if you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or any other platform, you're in the right place. YouTube listeners, a special shout out to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below, and ring that notification bell. Your support keeps this show strong. Have burning questions or a topic you're dying for us to explore? Shoot us an email at bmuzreviews@gmail.com. Subject line podcast question/topic, and we might just dive into it. Enough chit chat, folks. Let's dive straight into this week's headlines and reviews. Welcome everyone to the BMuz Reviews podcast, where movies, games, music, and nostalgia collide. Alright, what's going on, everybody? As promised, I'm here with our year in review episode. It's hard to believe that another year has gone by. We are now going on the third year of this podcast. That is also crazy to say. We are going into our third year doing this podcast. We're going to review the entire year of 2023. I got to see so many films. Some great, some good, some not so good, and we're going to talk about them all. Before we jump into our reviews, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has continued to listen to this podcast, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, you name it. I really appreciate it. Your support keeps this podcast going, and I really look forward to continue giving you guys this podcast and more reviews coming in 2024. Also, in terms of news, there will be a new website for musical projects. It is currently in the works, and it will be published very soon. My hope is to have the website published within the next couple weeks, definitely within the first month of the new year. Kicking off 2024 with the new website, I want to make sure that you guys have access to all of my content, all my blog posts, the recent reviews, any social media posts that are on there too. You can always have access to that as well, and being able to contact me as well. Anything you want me to talk about in the podcast, obviously you can always hit us up through social media or go to our website through our contact form. All that information will be on our new website, and more information will be listed and posted on our social media, so stay tuned. Follow me on social media if you don't already. Instagram, X, TikTok. Follow me there and you'll be up to date when the new website is up and running. But with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's count down my favorite films of 2023. I specifically emphasize the word favorite just because most content creators, specifically film reviewers, typically will look at the quote-unquote best films of 2023. I am just going to give you the list of my favorites. A comprehensive top 10 list starting with number 10. And that is The Boys in the Boat. I recently just got a chance to see this film. I am very grateful that this was the last film that I got the chance to see in 2023. This film is based on the incredible true story that is set in the 1930s and centers around the University of Washington's rowing team from their Great Depression era beginnings to teamwork and monumental success. I mean, this was just a great film. I really, really loved this film. George Clooney just directs a really great picture here. I really thoroughly enjoyed watching this film. I feel very ignorant to have not even known this story before seeing this film. However, I'm very grateful that filmmakers like Clooney bring stories like this to the big screen, because if it weren't for the screening I had attended, I would have never known about this story probably for who knows how many years more. I mean, if ever. I mean, this was just truly remarkable, and it's a story that everyone should have the opportunity to learn about. It's amazing. There's no other way to put it. Unbelievable. Joel Edgerton, fantastic performance. Callum Turner as well, along with Peter Guinness. I mean, the list goes on. Everyone in this film delivers, as does Daniel James Brown and Mark L. Smith with their script. I really enjoyed this film, and I'm very grateful, like I said, that I got to end my year with it. Definitely recommend checking this one out. It just came out, and you'll have plenty of time to see it in theaters. Definitely recommend you do so. Take the time to see this film. It's a story unlike any other. A really tremendous sports-related biography drama. The Boys in the Boat. Coming in at number 10 on my top 10 favorite films of 2023. Alright, and number 9 on the list, Air. This film follows the history of sports marketing executive Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in its pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. Hands down, this has got to be one of the greatest sports films that I've ever seen. The script from Alex Convery is just pure brilliance. And not only that, but Ben Affleck continues to prove why he is one of the greatest directors of our generation. No question about it. The ensemble cast of Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, one of my favorite actresses working today. Anytime she's on the screen gracing us with her presence, Viola Davis, just unbelievable as always, and Chris Tucker. They are all just wonderful together on screen. They work together flawlessly. I also felt that this film exceeds so many expectations in paying homage to the greatest basketball player of all time, as the tagline for the film reads, Mr. Michael Jordan. I highly, highly recommend checking this film out. It's fantastic. It comes in at under 2 hours, and it's very, very entertaining. Already coming in strong with 2 back-to-back sports dramas. I know these 2 films, Boys in the Boat at number 10 and number 9 on our list, Air, both really, really struck a chord with me, and they found their way on this list. Definitely recommend checking out both. This one coming in at number 9 on my list for top 10 favorite films of 2023, Air. Alright, next up, number 8 on my list for top 10 films of 2023, Blackberry. I must say, I absolutely loved just about every minute of this film. A pure grade A dark comedy. Glenn Howerton delivers a masterful performance along with Jay Baruchel, as well as actor, writer, and director Matt Johnson. And although the film is not necessarily a documentary, I found it very entertaining and it's still very informative. My eyes were glued to the screen the entire time. I really enjoyed this film. It's very different, and again, like a lot of these films I think on my list, this one was one that flew under the radar for a lot of people, and I definitely think it's one that'll surprise you as well. Definitely recommend checking this one out. Coming in at number 8 on my list for top 10 films of 2023, Blackberry. Alright, number 7 on my list of top 10 favorite films of 2023 is John Wick Chapter 4. Hands down, this has got to be one of the greatest action films I think I've ever seen, especially in the theaters. Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane, just superb as always. I've loved this series so much. So much. I remember seeing the first film, and I remember when it came out in theaters. I remember when it came out in theaters, I didn't go to see it. And right after it came out in theaters, I remember hearing about the film from a few friends of mine. I eventually had the chance to watch it, and immediately I was hooked. I remember showing it to my dad, and from there, it just spread. My brother, we all just were hooked. Once the second one was announced, we were there, opening night, saw the second one, and the rest is history. Third one, saw in theaters, and I was there for opening night, of course, for John Wick Chapter 4. Hands down, one of the greatest action films I've ever seen. Bill Skarsgård, just a grade A villain. I'm just a huge fan of Bill Skarsgård. Anything he does, just fantastic. Very much looking forward to seeing him in Nosferatu. Very much looking forward to seeing his performance. And his performance in John Wick Chapter 4, he's everything you could ask for. Just a grade A villain. You love to hate him. You just absolutely love to hate him. Donnie Yen turns in an all-out elite performance. Just an all-star cast all around. Definitely recommend checking this film out. If you've already seen the first 3 films in the John Wick series, I don't know what you're doing if you've not seen this film already. Do not hesitate. Watch this film. You will love it. I promise you. It is one of the most satisfying. It is one of the most satisfying 4th installments to a story and series that I think you can ever ask for. And the fact that it's the 4th in the series and they continue to get better. It doesn't make sense. And I don't even know how. I don't even know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. They continue to top themselves just when, you think there's no way. Because, 2 and then 3 especially went all out. I saw 3, I think, 3 times in theaters. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And 4, again, I'm really looking forward to rewatching it because I just absolutely loved it. John Wick Chapter 4. Alright, number 6 on my list for top 10 films of 2023 is The Covenant from Guy Ritchie. I saw this in a theater that was very quiet. Not too many people were in there, sadly, but I had the chance to see this in a Dolby Cinema. Wow. Just wow. I was absolutely blown away by this film. I knew next to nothing about it going in, which I always love to do. And, as with most of my reviews that I do, I try to do my best to reflect on my final thoughts for as long as I can before posting my review, obviously. I don't want to just have a whole bunch of initial thoughts that are convoluted. When I went into this film completely blind, not seeing any trailers prior to screening or anything like that, I think the only promotional materials that I had seen prior were like maybe a couple posters. I was genuinely left speechless by this film. Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim both are outstanding in this film. They deliver, honestly, Oscar-worthy performances in my opinion. Guy Ritchie just demonstrates his expertise in presenting a true heart-pounding thriller that will absolutely grasp you tighter than the on-screen bond, honestly, that's shared between Gyllenhaal and Salim in this film. The cinematography is absolutely captivating. The music is atmospheric and it just elevates every single scene. I cannot speak more highly about this film. I really want to rewatch this film. I really highly recommend that you check it out. I think it's one that's flown under the radar for many people. Since it's come out, I haven't heard much about it. And, to me, it's truly shocking, honestly. It was between 6 and 7, I would say, where I would put it on this list. But it is no doubt in the top 10 for me, for sure. Alright, and number 5 on my list for top 10 films of 2023 is The Holdovers. This film follows a cranky teacher at a remote prep school who is forced to remain on campus over the holidays with a troubled student who has absolutely no place to go. It is directed by Alexander Payne, and its script is written by David Hemmingson. Paul Giamatti stars as Paul Hunnam, and Divine Joy Randolph also stars alongside Dominic Sessa. I adored this film. I absolutely adored this film. I was captivated right from the beginning. From the opening credits, I was absolutely captivated by this film. The fact that from the way it's edited, shot, the clothing, the music, the set pieces, everything about it, you would never know this film does not take place. No, you would think that this film honestly was made in 1970, 1971. It's remarkable. I loved it so much, and I recommend it to everyone. It's a very cozy film, I would say. You know, it brings the comedy, and absolutely it brings the drama. And it reminds me very much of the feelings that, you know, not to the same levels. I'm not comparing the two films in terms of the classics. What I mean by what I'm going to say is that in terms of how each film brings the comedy and drama and balances both, they do it in a similar fashion. This film, the way that the comedy and drama is utilized in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, as well as The Holdovers, both movies incorporate the genres seamlessly. And I really, really recommend this film. I really do. I loved it. Paul Giamatti, I just think, is one of the most underrated actors working today. And I could definitely see him snagging a Academy Award nomination. I could see this film definitely getting multiple Academy Award nominations, and very much deservingly so. Highly recommend checking it out. I believe it's actually streaming too on Peacock if you have the opportunity to access that specific platform. Highly recommend checking out this film, The Holdovers. Alright, and number 4 on my list for top 10 films of 2023 is Theater Camp. Oh my gosh. This film is hilarious. I was blown away. Truly blown away from its comedy to its heart, along with its its mockumentary tone. I absolutely love the mockumentary style of filming. It very much reminded me of like Spinal Tap, or most recently something like Pop Star, Never Stopping. This film really delivers on every single level. I honestly cannot remember ever laughing as much in the theater as I did while watching this film. So funny. So funny. I was still wiping tears away from my face while walking out of the theater just laughing. Cannot speak more highly of this film. Hands down, the funniest movie of 2023. No doubt about it. Highly recommend you check this one out. It is streaming on Hulu. If you have access to that platform, I definitely recommend you put this on your watch list. Coming in at number 4 on my list for top 10 films of 2023, Theater Camp. Alright, and coming in at number 3 on my list, The Iron Claw. This film follows the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the 1980s. A24 continues to deliver magic, and in this film it's like no other. Sean Durkin, the director and writer for this film, just pens a beautiful script and really brings the world of professional wrestling, specifically during that era in the early 1980s. I mean, he brings it to life. And Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Maura Tierney, Stanley Simmons, Holt McCallany, and Lily James just all deliver fantastic performances, and I really loved this film. I really did. And again, if you listen to the episode 26 a few days ago, you heard the review for this film. You know, when it comes to this film, my only main criticism was the fact that it didn't have the brother. It's editing to make the film look as though you're actually like a spectator at points watching, the television in your living room. It's really fantastic, and I very, very much enjoyed watching this film. It breaks your heart. It makes you laugh, and like I said, it most certainly makes you cry. And it's an important story. I'm very much hoping that this film kickstarts A24 to pretty much continue producing more professional wrestling biopics, specifically stories like Owen Hart, the tragedy of what happened to him and his family. I would love to see that film be made and his story be told. So many others that you could tell, so many countless stories within the world of professional wrestling, and this is hopefully the first of many. I truly love this film, and I'm sure that you will too. Highly recommend. The Iron Claw just came out in theaters and coming in at number 3 on my list of top 10 films of 2023. Alright, and coming in at number 2 on my list, this was so tough. It was so tough. Alright, and coming in at number 2 on my list for top 10 films of 2023, Godzilla -1. Let me tell you what, when I was so beyond at a toss-up of putting this at number 1 on my list, I was so close to doing so. So close to doing so. And you could honestly consider this a tie with number 1 if you really wanted to, because the margin of difference between this and my number 1 is so thin. And I'm sure many of you will have this as number 1 on your list, and you are not wrong to do so. I would not disagree with you at all. This film is unbelievable. I loved this film. I remember seeing Godzilla 2000 in the theaters as a little kid, and that was the first time I had ever seen Godzilla, and I was captivated. I was instantly hooked. This film shows you what Godzilla is truly supposed to be like, and wow, the action sequences are hard-hitting. The sound mixing, unlike anything. And I gotta tell you, the fact that they were able to make a film this beautiful, this stunning with the visual effects, everything they were able to accomplish, with only spending like $15 million. Holy cow. I mean, every other Marvel film that comes out, every third month, $300+ million later, and it's just a CGI mess half the time. And this film just puts every single one of them to shame. Every single one of them to shame. Holy cow. I genuinely was sitting there, and I just caught myself with my jaw on the floor and my eyes just wide open, just stunned at what I was looking at. It just looks so good, and I applaud everyone involved with this film, from the filmmakers to every single performance in this film, all the actors and actresses, the entire cast and crew. I mean, just unbelievable. And I know there's talks that there could be a possible sequel. I'm very much hoping that happens. This film specifically takes place during post-war Japan, at its lowest point, when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster, Godzilla, who is simply baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. Unbelievable. The only way, in my opinion, to see this film is in theaters. If you don't have the opportunity to see this film in theaters, then please do yourself a favor and put this on the biggest screen possible with the loudest sound around you that you have available to you. Unbelievable film, coming in at number 2 on my list for top 10 films of 2023. Alright, and last but most certainly not least, number 1 on my list for top 10 films of 2023 is Oppenheimer. I went back and forth so much with putting this or Godzilla Minus One as my number 1, number 2. And again, like I said, they are interchangeable. You could genuinely consider them a tie at number 1, because I had such a hard time picking between the two. I loved both of these films so much. Oppenheimer specifically, just a masterpiece from Christopher Nolan. I cannot speak more highly about this film. I was absolutely in awe. Did not feel like 3 hours. It felt maybe an hour and a half to me. Just an unbelievable story. Fantastic pacing. The all-star cast. I mean, everyone and their mother, I feel like, stars in this film. From Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., who I think all 3 of them are definitely frontrunners for Academy Award nominations this upcoming Oscar season. Alden Ehrenreich, Scott Grimes, Jason Clarke, Tony Goldwyn, Kenneth Branagh, David Krumholtz, Josh Hartnett, Alex Wolff, Josh Zuckerman, Florence Pugh, Matthew Modine, David Dastmalchian, Matt Damon, Josh Peck, Jack Quaid, Benny Safdie, Devin Bostic, Casey Affleck, Gary Oldman, Rami Malek. I mean, the list just goes on. I feel like I'll be here all day reading these names. Just an unbelievable cast and crew. The sound, the score, oh my gosh, the epic score. Again, Oppenheimer and Godzilla Minus One, both films did something for me that no other films have done in years. They made me feel like I was a little kid again watching a film. Just the action, just being captivated by what's on screen, just being purely mesmerized by the performances, the story, everything, the situations taking place. Oppenheimer to me is nothing short of a masterpiece, and if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you check it out. I'm anticipating it sweeping a lot at the Oscars this season. I'm very much looking forward to checking it out. Definitely have an episode featuring my previews and predictions for the Academy Awards when that time comes around. But before ending this episode, I'm just going to run down a couple honorable mentions, and then I will also list some of the worst films of 2023. But first, like I said, a few honorable mentions. Alright, and number 1 is Killers of the Flower Moon. A fantastic film based on a true and tragic story of the Osage murders. The film is also based on the book under the same title. Martin Scorsese, an absolutely fantastic director, and his skills are on full display in this one. It's just a truly fantastically paced story and film, especially for one that is so long, coming in at almost 4 hours long. All the performances in this ensemble cast are fantastic. Highly recommend you check this one out as well. Honorable mention number 1, The Killers of the Flower Moon. Alright, and honorable mention number 2, Gran Turismo. This film is honestly just pure adrenaline from beginning to end. It's the ultimate underdog tale, and it's actually a true story. It's one that, again, I had never known about this story before seeing the trailer. As a 90s kid, someone who grew up playing the original PlayStation, specifically Gran Turismo, I was in awe. It was just an absolute joy to watch this film bring the game to life. The performances were fantastic. Archie Madakwe, Orlando Bloom, just great performances. David Harbour steals the show in this one for me. If you're a fan of the Gran Turismo series or just racing in general, I definitely recommend this film to you. I think you're going to love it. Definitely an honorable mention for me for this year. Gran Turismo. Alright, and the third and final honor mention that I definitely wanted to throw in here is Chevalier. I had the chance to see this on one of the last nights that it was in theaters. I caught it before it left, and I am very glad that I went. This film is exciting, it's majestic, it provides audiences with a true story that is also very captivating. It's inspired by the real life of Joseph Boulogne, Chevalier de Saint George. I still cannot believe I was unaware of the story of this man's life prior to seeing the film. But, that's why films like this, I'm glad exist. This is a story that should be known by all. Individuals should at least have the opportunity to know that this story truly did happen. Kelvin Harrison Jr. and Samara Weaving both deliver some fantastic performances in this film, along with the rest of the ensemble cast. The music, the composition for this film, just incredible. Really an unbelievable job with the costumes and makeup, I will say, as well. The set design, it's just an art piece in itself. The historical biopic genre of films is one of my favorites, especially when they're well executed like this one. My ultimate hope is that we as audience members get to receive more of these from studios. If you've not gotten a chance to see this film, I highly recommend it. Honorable mention number 3 on my list, Chevalier. Alright, and last, the 2 worst films of 2023. I couldn't just make it one. It was a toss-up, and I had to just throw them both up there. Number 1 is Marlowe, the film starring Liam Neeson. This film just was not it for me. Yeah, what to say about this film? It has, with the score and the ensemble cast, the costumes, the set design, this one really did have a potential to be a gem. Sadly, just the conclusion to this, what turns out to be to me, it was just an incomprehensible mess of a film. It really just left me disappointed, and yeah, this is to me one of the worst films of 2023, Marlowe. Alright, and the other worst film of 2023 to me is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Man, oh man. This is the final adventure for Harrison Ford in the iconic role of Indiana Jones, and I must say, I was so disappointed with this installment to the blockbuster franchise for a film that is openly marketed as the final adventure. I really did not expect to see Ford's, Indiana Jones take a back seat for what feels like literally a majority of the film. It lacks the magic comprised, especially in the first 3 films. There are intriguing moments to the plot, but there's elements of fan service as well, I'd say, but beyond that, there's just not much left to take away. There's really not. This film was just hugely mismanaged in my opinion, and it just fell completely flat. This was just not an Indiana Jones film to me. This was just bad all around. Hands down, this is one of the worst films of 2023 in my opinion. That and Marlowe, hands down. And that just about does it. That is our 2023 year in review. So many films got a chance to see. So many more films that I could have thrown up on this list, but try to keep it short and sweet. Kept it fair and wanted to definitely focus in on my tried and true top 10 favorite movies of 2023. A few honorable mentions I definitely did throw in there just because I couldn't help myself, but beyond that, it just would have been too much. There's so many great films that did come out in 2023, but I am satisfied with this list, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking out your own list. Please write to me. Let me know what your top 10 favorite lists of 2023 were. Let me know what you thought about my personal list. We can get into discussion on social media. Please write to me if you're watching on YouTube. Comment below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Write to me through Instagram, X, TikTok, you name it. Follow us, and be sure to check out my new website when it is live. Like I said, all updates will be posted on social media. Stay connected with us. And like I said before in the beginning of this podcast, I greatly look forward to continuing in 2024 with the third year of this podcast. It's crazy to think that time has flown by that fast, but it's been fantastic. And I greatly look forward to all the great films and other stuff that lies ahead. And with that, I wish you all a very happy new year. Stay safe and be well. Alright. And there you have it, folks. Another fantastic episode of the BMuz Reviews podcast is officially in the books. I really hope that you enjoyed our cinematic journey, our game discoveries, and musical adventures as much as I did. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Connect with us on Instagram, X, and TikTok at BMuz Reviews for exclusive sneak peeks and updates throughout the week. Plus, don't miss out. Catch us on your favorite streaming platforms from Spotify to YouTube, iHeartRadio to Amazon Music, and everywhere in between. YouTube viewers, your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be the first to know when our latest podcast episodes drop, and you will not want to miss our retro game adventures. As we bid adieu for now, mark your calendars. We'll be back with another exciting installment of the BMuz Reviews podcast. So until then, stay entertained, stay curious, and most importantly, stay awesome. As always, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.